Good morning, everybody. Got your coffee? I got mine. So, listen, before we get started, there are people to thank. Wednesday, I did end up going to my post office box and I had two things inside of it. The first was a letter from Leon Gardner. Let me hide your address. Leon Gardner is one of my longtime supporters. Such a good supporter. Always so encouraging, and you're one of those people that just really keep me going. You really are. Thank you so much. Keep smiling. With warmest thanks for all your help. Thank you. A little love sending your way for all the good work you do. Love always, Leon. What a beautiful card. When I buy cards, I don't always get the card that's meant for it, like the card that's behind it. Sometimes I'll grab another envelope so that it can correspond beautifully with the card, because sometimes there's just a better option sitting there. When you all send me letters, according to your stamps and your cards, you all clearly put a lot of thought into it, and I want you all to know that I notice. That's all. And then I got this one from this package from Exanthia. For the kids and you if you want one, because I do. And I did want to use Amazon, but this time I had to. From Tribal Woman 138. I'm not, I'm better than I was. Like every month I get better and better about divesting from Amazon. I'm not 100%, but I must say I'm at about 95% with Amazon, done with Amazon. So I understand. I feel you. And look what she sent the library pantry. These little puzzles. Do you all remember these little puzzles, y'all? I used to love these. They used to come in the cereal boxes when I was a kid. And sometimes I would get it just for this game. And mind you, I was one of those kids, those difficult children who didn't eat cereal. I told you I spent the summers with my grandmas. My great grandmother on the, I guess you could say, the adoptive paternal side, she would come on summers and she would spend the summers with my grandma and my grandpa. And we would just all be one big happy family. And my grandmas, between the two of them, they always cooked my breakfast in the morning. So I was spoiled in that way. They would always make me eat eggs. I don't like scrambled eggs. And they always would make me eat scrambled eggs. I can eat like an egg over easy depending on what else is on the plate. But I do not like a scrambled egg. I just don't. It just tastes like vomit to me. It's so gross. And I remember this one time, she gave me this speech about starving kids in Africa. And I got up one time and my grandpa was sitting at the head of the table and he was reading a paper, or something like that. And and she gave me the speech about, this was the first time I ever heard it, starving kids in Africa. And I was so upset that there were kids in the world that were starving. And so I jumped up from the table and I went over to their desk, and I got an envelope out and I was like, we need to mail them these eggs immediately because they starving. What do you mean starving? Like they have no food. And and I was just like, I guess it was always going to be in me to help people who didn't have food, because when I tell you the way that hit me in my feels to know that there were actual starving children in the world and that they weren't eating as good as I was and that they didn't have grandmas to make them bacon, the good bacon with the rinds on it that she got from the butcher every week, that and grits. I didn't too much care for grits too much as a kid either, but I could stomach them a lot better than I could some eggs. And then toast, which I did love. And then I would have orange juice every morning. I wouldn't have milk because I don't like milk. I was one of those difficult kids. And then across the street, you had my other grandma, you know, my mother's mother. And oh my God, the difference, the contrast was just so night and day. It was just so much poverty over there. And like my one grandparents, they had so much. And my other one, she had nothing, like just nothing. And I would always go over, you know, once my belly got full, I was all cleaned and everything and dressed for the day. And my hair was done and everything. Because one thing I can give my grandma on my adoptive paternal side, that woman loved me with her whole spirit and heart. They all did. My grandma, my grandpa, and my great-grandma loved me to death. Never could have told me it was no real blood relation in those relations. You never could have told me that. But I knew it was the truth when I heard it because of the way the son treated me. I knew it was the truth when I heard it. But by them, you never could tell. It was a very normal relationship, very loving relationship. And I'm glad that I experienced their love. They were amazing. They really were. They were. And then across the street over at my grandmother's, my mother's house, it was just so much poverty. And they would be lucky if they had farina, you know, if it was some farina for breakfast, you know, that they would get from Wick or Focus Hope. Focus Hope is what it was called. And I've never heard of anybody say anything about Focus Hope. I don't think that program still exists, but they would go to Focus Hope and she would get, you know, like the government cheese and everything. And, you know, and she has so many kids, you know, but when I was a little girl, my uncles were teenagers, you know. It's not too many years between me and her youngest set of kids. She was having kids, you know, on off into her late 40s. So I have uncles that are not that far apart in age from me. And I have cousins who are older than some of my uncles and aunts are. Very strange family dynamic. And the one curse, to me it's a curse. It depends on who you ask in my family, but we were cursed with young uteruses. Like we don't stop our periods until like I'm 54 and still going. You know, I'm premenopausal, but the women in our family had babies into their 50s. You know, it's just completely disgusting. But anyway, you know, you just have to be really, really careful and, you know, make sure them tubes get tied or whatever, you know, and that is why that is the curse of my family, of the women in my family. But anyway, I want to say thank you to you two so much. I went all off on the deep end, didn't I? Please forgive me. But anyway, Leon and Xanthia, thank you so much for the wonderful gifts that you provided. I appreciate you. I do. I also want to say thank you to Bonnie and to Shalonda and to Lynette for showing a little love to the library pantry and to myself. You all must, it's like, I didn't mention it because we are, you know, getting low. Maybe are y'all watching this shelf behind me? We are getting low on food. So I was able to do, yesterday I was able to do a food from Costco, a food order from Costco, because I wasn't going to do one. Don't get me wrong. We still have food for the library pantry because we still have another much bigger shelf that's still filled. So we weren't running out, but we were running low. So thanks to you all, we're able to put some staples in there, like the ramen noodle cups. People really like those. The teenagers and the little kids, they like those microwavable macaroni cups. Those microwavable, anything microwavable, like the ravioli, the spaghetti and meatballs. They kind of like that. We were able to get some juice. So thank you so much. You know, I appreciate it. You know, I wasn't worried, but it was on my mind. So thank y'all so much. I really do appreciate y'all. Listen, real quick, because I've mentally prepared myself, but I think that we need to have another discussion about intent versus impact. And listen, when a person tells you that they don't want to talk about something because it's hard for them, I can't believe how many people disrespected that request yesterday that I made. I said, listen, I'm okay. I'm feeling better. It's a new day and I would like to move on. And how many people re-traumatized me by bringing it up again? Even though that was not your intent, that's what the impact had. Now, I believe some of you all actually genuinely were trying to be kind, but and that was your intent. But the impact re-traumatized me again. I think that some of y'all intended to re-traumatize me again. But again, listen, you all have to learn, especially if you're going to be in community with other Black people, you have to listen to people when they clearly communicate their needs to you. Even like when you have kids or when you're in a marriage or when you're in some other relationship, even if it's just a relationship with you and your bestie. If your bestie is saying to you, look, this is my trial and my tribulation, and they brought it to you and they're saying, okay, I feel better. I don't want to keep discussing it. I don't want to keep talking about it. And then you bring it up anyway. What you do, whether you understand it or not, you re-traumatize the person by bringing it up. Remember, again, it's one of me. It's 10,000 of you. So when I communicate, hey, I'm good. I don't want to talk about it no more. And then at least 50 of you are continuing to bring it up again. That's 50 times that I'm being re-traumatized when I wasn't braced for it. So you did more harm than good in that moment. Sometimes we have to learn to listen to people, and we have to listen to what their needs are, not necessarily our needs. If you needed to make yourself feel better, at risk of rehashing something for me, re-traumatizing me, re-victimizing me, I mean, you literally sacrificed those very delicate strings of healing that I had because you needed to talk about it more. And it wasn't necessary. Now, with all that, with all due respect, thank you. I feel better. Let's move the fuck on. Okay. And not only that, but one last thing. I did learn my lesson. And I will never have I will never share another vulnerable moment like that. And I should have known better because this is the internet at the end of the day. And I am not safe with y'all in all things, clearly. But what you're now doing is you're taking away a strong voice for victims away from victims who need to hear it and need to be in community in those moments. That's what you also did. And that's the impact. So it may not have been your intent, but that's the impact. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on for real now. With all of that said and out of the way, have you all seen, and I hate talking about this because the way that I navigate what I feel about the Trump administration is by just avoiding all things Trump whenever possible. But unless you're living under a rock, I like to keep myself informed, and I listen to Black news channels and I listen to what's going on. And this fuck shit that's going on in the White House right now, I mean, during the first administration, I was really embarrassed. I was embarrassed to be an American. Now, this second time around, I literally just feel nothing. I just feel nothing. I just shake my head and I just keep it moving because who is surprised at what's going on between Elon Musk and Donald Trump? Who's surprised? These are two rich, white, racist narcissists. Who didn't know that they were eventually going to beef? Elon Musk, the way he's standing up in the White House, all, bringing his kid, making it a circus, and they're just turning the presidency in the Oval Office into just this circus. And he got a black eye now, and obviously, I'm not believing that shit he said about his kid giving him a black eye. Somebody in that White House gave him a black eye, especially if security had to escort him off the premises. And now they're in this Twitter beef. I don't, because it's Elon Musk's X now, I closed my account down and deactivated my account, so I'm not over there. But, you know, you guys, you post, and, you know, and I see it, and I see where they're going back and forth, back and forth. And Donald Trump is saying it has some shit to do. You know, they fell out because in his big, beautiful bill, he didn't include the contingencies for the electric vehicles that Elon Musk wanted them to. And, you know, and so Elon Musk, he said Elon Musk popped off and got an attitude about it, and now here it is. And then Elon Musk went on, took to Twitter, and he started saying that Donald Trump wouldn't have even won the election if it hadn't have been for him. And, you know, and I kind of agree with that, you know, because we all knew that the math really wasn't mathing, like my mutual Tabitha Speaks Politics said in her video. We all knew that the math wasn't mathing. And she said whether you are on the side of fighting it or whether you're on the side of just accepting it and just moving on and just trying to do what we can to defend ourselves against this administration, that's where I'm at. You know, I accepted it because, listen, the truth of the matter is the Republicans are just all powerful right now. They are. And the Democrats are very, very weak. You know, I've always felt like the Democrats was a weak party. I've not always felt like that. Don't get me wrong. I didn't feel like that during the Obama administration, but I definitely felt like that when Trump got into office on up until now. And, you know, and when during Obama's second term, I became an independent. That was when I became an independent. Because I just didn't like the way that the Dems were moving. And now fast forward to 2025, and I really just don't like the way that the Dems are moving. I don't, you know, listen, if you're going to fight animals, you're going to have to get dirty. That's just all of this, you know, when they go high, when they go low, we go high. Fuck all of that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I love me some Michelle Obama, but fuck all of that. It ain't going to always be like that. Sometimes, you know how it is in life. You know, you can walk away from problematic people. You can walk away from problematic people right up until you got to beat their ass. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to beat a bitch ass. And, you know, and that's where we are right now. That's where we are in this. Sometimes you just got to fuck a hoe up. That's just all it is to it. And we can't keep maintaining all of this, you know, decorum. These people don't know. They don't respect decorum. They don't respect democracy. They don't respect the Constitution. They don't respect a two-party system. They don't respect any of that. You can't fight these people with the rules. And you know what the Dems need to do? The Dems, they got to get all these dinosaurs out of here. You know, I, for one, love me some Bernie Sanders. But Bernie Sanders got to go. If you ain't got it in all this time, you ain't going to get it. You got to go. You know, I love me some Ani Maxine. Ani Maxine, thank you for your service. You got to go. The Pelosi's, they got to go. They got to go. They too old to do this job. We need more Jasmine Crockett's. We need more Hakeem's. We need more Justins. We need more AOC's. We need younger people who gon', you know, get the job done. Nuck if you buck, shit. You know what I'm saying? They got to get in there. We need people in there that know the Constitution, know the law, and will fight for the people. Question everything. It ain't no way in the world that the Dems should have just sat by and just accepted the outcome, the results of that election without even so much as questioning them. I hear there's a lawsuit, though, somewhere floating around, but I agree with Tabitha. Nothing's going to come of it. Look who's running the justice system. Nothing's going to come of it. These people on Project 2025 is not new. This is like a 50-year long process. They played the long game, and the Republicans played it well. And you may not like that, but that is the truth, and the truth is the truth. They played the long game so well that the Democrats don't even have any moves left on the board. We got to show up for those midterms. We got to try to give them the House. We got to try to give the Dems some kind of fucking power. And we got to get those old Dems out that want to, these foundational fucking Democrats. They got to go. We need more progressives in. We need more people that are about pushing this nation forward. Now, we can speak to the other side, because if what you want to be is a Republican, be a Republican. But why they can't elect better Republicans? Some people with some integrity. People who haven't been convicted, who are not convicted felons. People who are actual natural citizens. People who are not trying to dismantle the government. People who are not trying to rob the system. Why they can't elect some integral Republicans? It just goes to show you the fuck shit everybody in America is on. And you know what? If you don't watch out, excuse me, if you don't watch out, listen, if you don't watch out, and if you do not guard your spirit, this nation will corrupt you. This nation is turning all of us against each other. Even within our community, we all turning against each other. That's why we have to hold on to community. That's why we got to be in community. Look how everybody, one social group is turning against the next social group. And then subgroups within groups. Look at the way black people, we're turning against the gay black people. And the gay trans people. By the way, happy Pride Month. And I agree with Marlon Wayans that you can be straight and love gay people. Happy Pride Month to y'all. We can't throw our people away. We can't embrace hate, bigotry, lies, misinformation, disinformation. We got to fill each other up with love and the truth. For real. Or this administration and this nation will corrupt us the same way it has everyone else. America corrupts. Look at how the values that this nation now embrace is spreading to other nations. America corrupts. Way to make it great again. Anyway, if you would like to donate to the platform or to The Great Escape, I would appreciate it. I'll leave my Cash App and my Venmo down in the comments. That's all that I have for today. I love y'all for real. Do something nice for someone. It'll make you feel better. That's why at the end of these videos, I always tell you, do something nice for someone. Don't let this nation get you. Don't let it exhaust you to the point where you don't care about your fellow man or woman or child or human. Don't let it rob you of your humanity, because this nation will, if you let it suck you in and suck you dry, because that's what it does. Y'all have a good day.